Corpbiz.
Hello everyone, my name is Pankaj Tyagi. Welcome to Corpbiz. In this video, we will talk about the Duty Drawback Scheme for Indian exporters and importers. Duty Drawback Scheme is a government-based initiative that allows exporters to avail rebate on custom duties and other taxes paid on importable items used for the production of goods meant for foreign markets. Exporters usually receive such a rebate in their designated bank account. Government facilitate the services regarding the duty drawback under the Section 75 of Custom Act 1962 and Section 37 of Central Excise Act 1944. Now let's talk about the role of Custom and Central Excise Duties. Custom and Central Excise Duties Drawback Rules 1995 encloses the procedure of granting duties drawback by the custom authorities. Under the said scheme, an exporter can choose either the brand rate of Duty Drawback Scheme or All India Rate, that is AIR, of Duty Drawback Scheme. A major portion of duty drawback is paid via All India Rate, which primarily renders compensation to exporters of various exportable goods for the average incident of central excise and custom duties imposed on input used in their production. Brand rate of duty drawback is granted under Rule 7 of Customs and Central Excise Duties Drawback Rules 1995 in case where the exportable goods do not have AIR or duty drawback rate, or where the AIR duty drawback is inadequate to compensate for custom central excise duties on imported goods used in the production of exportable products. For commodities having an AIR, the facility of brand rate to exporter is only accessible if it is determined that the compensation by AIR is lower than the 80% of the actual duty addressed in the production of exportable goods. Duty drawback on re-export of duties paid commodity is also accessible under Section 74 of Custom Act 1962. Under this scheme, a certain part of custom duty paid at the time of importation is remitted on re-export of commodities subject to identification and standard procedure being followed. Now let's talk about how does duty drawback scheme work for exporters. All industry rates are notified by the central government in the form of drawback schedule based on the average quantity and valuation of imports and duties, both central excise and custom, addressed by the export products. The rates are primarily an average based on the evaluation of average incidence. These AIRs are underpinned by the drawback committees. The All India rate might be fixed as a percentage of FOB, that is free on-board price of exportable product, or as standard fees. FOB is used to imply whether the buyer or seller is accountable for goods that are physically damaged during shipment. All claims relating to duty drawback are filled in accordance with the tariff items and descriptions of product given in the schedule. In the brand rate fixation, an exporter can apply either where the exportable item has not been listed in the duty drawback schedule, or if the exporter considers that AIR of duty drawback does not completely waive off the duties encountered by the export products. The exporter is fully compensated for duties relating to customs and central excise actually incurred by them. To use such a route, the exporters must furnish a form to Directorate of Drawback within 30 days of first shipment of goods, along with the copy of relevant authorities. The Commissioner Drawback shall fix the rate post verification. The documentation requisite is quite high here, as the exporter has to disclose the quantity of input and services used, in addition to the proof of duty paid. Now let's talk about the process of availing refund under Duty Drawback Scheme. In order to avail refund under this scheme, the exporter must file a prescribed application with relevant custom authority via electronic data interchange, which is also known as EDI for the export. Here, the exporters must remember that e-shipping bills will serve as a claim for drawback, and thus there is no requirement for filing separate drawback claims. All custom ports equipped with EDI facility can process claim related to duty drawback scheme. In case of re-export of imported goods under Section 74 of Custom Act 1962. Now let's talk about the common document required for processing drawback claim. Triplicate copy of shipping bill, copy of bill of entry, invoice of the import, proof related to the payment of duty paid on good being imported, approval granted by RBI for re-exportation of goods, copy of the airway bill or the bill of lading, copy of bank attest invoices, 6 triplicate copy of AR4, packing list as well as the export invoice, freight and insurance certificate, copy of report of good testing, MODVET declaration, a form highlighting the drawback amount claimed, DEEC book and license copy where applicable, certificate of transshipment where applicable, blank acknowledgement card in duplicate, pre-receipts relating to drawback amount on the reverse of shipment, bill signed on the 1 rupee stamp papers. Now let's talk about some limitations on drawback admissibility. The Custom Acts underpin certain conditions and limitations for exporters seeking drawback claim for inputs. No drawback is admissible under Section 75 if the market price is lower than the drawbacks amount claimed. The drawback is not allowed if the claim is lower than Rs 50 on individual shipments. Government can reject or admit drawback claim subject to condition where there is a chance of good shipped being smuggled back. Further, the government can also deny drawback claim in situation where the export of good is less than the valuation of input used in their production. If necessary, the standard minimum value additions over the valuation of input can also be prescribed prior to rendering drawback. Please note that the drawback is allowed to encourage export and there must be export proceed repatriation. Although prior repatriation of export realization isn't a mandate, the law states that if the sale proceeds are not received within the given timeline, the drawback paid shall be recoverable by the government as per the underlying procedure. That's all about the duty drawback scheme. Let us know if you have some query about this topic. Thank you.